Herzlich willkommen im KST Innovation Center, dem Forschungs-, Entwicklungs- und Demonstrationsbereich der KST Moschkau in NRW, im Herzen Europas.
So welcome everyone for another RealityTalks session. Today we have KST Moschkau's Felix Moschkau, who is a product manager for the company. And today we will talk about the projects of the KST Moschkau. And of course, we will first get to know what they do. They have a state-of-the-art innovation center in Germany, and they will talk about their offerings. And then we will dig into the non-broadcast projects that the company recently successfully concluded, which are very interesting, and I hope you will stay tuned. And Felix is actually connecting us through their virtual studio, so I will stop our screen share and show him to you. Yeah. Hi Felix, how are you?
Hi everyone, well, I'm fine.
Joining us today.
Yeah, as we can see, you're welcome. As we can see, I'm actually in a reality-powered virtual studio, and that via web stream.
Yes, and you get to actually perform some of the things you are telling us today. Am I right?
Yeah.
Great. So
awesome.
Yeah. So let's continue then with what you do at KST Moschkau. Can you tell us about your facilities?
Yeah, so basically we as KST, we are, let's say in general, a usual system integrator. So we do projects for broadcast, media technologies and also security technologies. The company exists since 35 years. So it's actually a generation family business. Yeah. Besides the pure business as a system integrator, we are also manufacturer for hard and software solutions, which means robotics, but also furniture for control rooms and outdoor housings for cameras. We manufacture the outdoor housings for the Panasonic PTZs, for example. So our focus is to build a solution from A to Z for customer. So the perfect situation for us is if the customer comes and tells us, hey, there's a green field, that's our property, I want to have a studio there. And then we will plan and do the whole thing, including construction, including integration, including playout and everything. We also have the KST Academy, which is a combination of training rooms where we train our workflow and also the workflows of our partners. And then lastly, we have the KST Innovation Center, which was just newly founded 2 years ago. And this is a large broadcast demo and research and development center.
So let's dig in a little bit more to the Innovation Center. You actually have a fully equipped studio there, which you are presenting to us today, right?
Actually, I'm in the Innovation Center at the moment, in the green screen application. So the Innovation Center is a demo research and development center for broadcast technologies. So we try to invent new workflows and new ways to use the newest technology. It's 400 square meters of studio. In here, we try to combine all the major players in the market. Yeah, our partners are Panasonic, Zero Density, of course, but also Avid, Blacktrax, Crestron, Gunter Mann & Jung, ARRI, and so on. So the idea is that here the manufacturers also have the possibility to do shootouts and to prove themselves and their solutions against each other. in the integrated workflow. Yeah, the focus is on virtual reality and automation. So basically we have our own studio automation system in the development, which is called CamBot. And we try to find ways for the newest virtual reality applications. A little bit about the history. Actually, how did the Innovation Center start? It all started when we built a temporary little virtual studio in one of our training rooms for our customer. The project was successful in the end. They bought the solution, but it came up that we can't do that much work to build a whole virtual studio just for one demo. So then we decided to build a whole new studio, which is just there for demonstration and research. In 2017, we started to work with zero density and also started the construction of the actual building. So the Innovation Center is a whole new building, actually. Yeah, in 2018, then we started with the first demonstrations and, of course, also innovations, because we really do research here. And then in Q1 last year, we started with the official demonstrations. Yeah, and here we see a little bit of pictures of the past. So basically what we see here, the slide before, this was the little temporary virtual studio which we built just for this one customer. It was working quite well, but too much work for just one demonstration. And what we see here, this is the control room of the Innovation Center during a demo. So basically this is the state of the Innovation Center now.
Yes, so Felix, before meeting Zero Density, before meeting our team, you used another virtual studio technology. Yeah. What made you switch to another one?
Yeah, so basically we started to work with all the usual known faces in the market. What made us switch? Yeah, basically we saw the solution of zero density. We saw the Unreal workflow and the output of it. Here in the background we see a little video of our virtual set. And this brought us to the decision that this is the only future-proof way. So the visuals you have working with Unreal Engine, and also the workflow we have with the solution from zero density, and of course the very good Kia, made us immediately switch to zero density.
With your words, I of course understand your experience with Reality Engine is good, but let me ask, how long did it take you to make the switch? You learned the tool, you implemented, you installed, and you start the project. How long was this period?
Well, actually, it was quite long, because we started to work with zero density in 2017, but we did the first projects in the end of 2018. But this is only because we ourselves wanted to get really used to this workflow, because we try to ensure that we have the really best possible solution for our customer. So, but to actually learn to use zero density took us just days, and that's it, because it's really simple to use. And then after the first demonstrations, all the customers, were really amazed by the result.
Great. So let's get back to the Innovation Center. Can you tell us something more about the facilities? How many studios do you have? What is the technology there? Yeah. So actually, we built 3 studios in here. Of course, first of all, we have the, we see in the video in the background a little video about the construction, actually. So the construction of the building itself was a challenge already, because it was built on top of our existing building. And so maybe it shows the facilities later in this video, but okay. So we have a large state-of-the-art control room. We have Studio A, which is a large, let's say, conventional studio. So basically there we have a large studio with latest camera technology and background projection. Of course, the conventional way is to just display some two-dimensional content on there, but the new way is to actually do a portal production in there. So basically
what we do is we put the virtual background from reality on the background of this projection, and using it that way, we have real-time parallax, and we don't need to make a key because we are standing in front of the projection actually, and so we don't need green. Yeah, the next studio is Studio B. This is where I'm actually standing in. Yeah, I'm standing in Studio B, which is the green screen studio. So basically here we have a fairly medium-sized green screen to do Virtual Studio. In here we tried to find a new way to do lighting actually. So instead of using really expensive lights, we tried to find a way to reduce costs because actually for the zero density Kia we don't want to change light. We just had to find one set of light with the perfect temperature, with the perfect intensity, and that's it. So yeah, here we can see the lighting. This is actually where I'm standing at the moment.
And the video is currently showcasing Studio B.
Yeah, exactly. So there we can see some nice shots of our robotics. This is also part of our product of CamBot. So basically I'm filmed by a robot now, which I can move around. So that's Studio B. In Studio C, we have a large video wall, which we use also for portal function. But actually it's planned to have a hybrid studio there later. But the implementation is not done yet. So basically there we will shift the border between reality or between the real world and the virtual world. So yeah, and basically that's it for the areas of the Innovation Center.
Yeah. So thank you for that. So these are the areas, the studios you have. You have 3 very well equipped studio for different usage. What about the technology? Of course, you have Zero Density's Reality Engine, but what else is there?
Over the whole area of the Innovation Center, we have BlackTracks coverage. So basically, we have a very large BlackTracks system here. So I'm able to do talent tracking in the whole area. Also, we have our own product, the KST CamBot.system, which is a software for automation. With CamBot, we also control the light and also our robotics. So it's all in one system. For camera side, as we are a Panasonic partner, we have the VariCam for Live application here. So we have the finest quality cameras available. We have the CamBot robotics and also the PTZ range of Panasonic. Mainly, of course, the UV150, which does the tracking for virtual reality. Yeah. As we know, virtual technology powered by Reality Engine. Interesting also over the whole conventional area, we have the DMX adjustable light, which is also controlled by CamBot. So we can, in combination with the move of the cameras and actions in the virtual reality, also control the light set at the same time. Yeah, so here we see a little picture of the control room. This is a picture of Studio B, where I'm standing. I'm actually filmed by this very robot on the rail we see there. This is Studio A with the big projection in the background. Here we can see the VariCam for Live application and also a dolly system for the UV150, which is also tracked. So basically we provide an additional axis of movement for the PTZ cameras also.
Before moving on to the CamBot system, there is a question and I think it's relevant to ask here.
Okay.
So the wall of the green box was covered with green carpet. Would you say that there's an advantage of a carpet fabric compared to green painted color?
No.
What is the difference?
So actually what we saw, the walls of carpet, this was our first, let's say, try for virtual reality with our temporarily virtual studio in one of our training rooms. And we got, from the industry, we got the advice to use green carpet. It was working fine, but depending on how close you are to the walls, you can get artifacts by the texture, by the structure of the carpet, especially with difference key. So this is why we decided for the final installation here in our Studio B to use actually the real green paint from Zero Density. Actually, we tried over 10 paints from different manufacturers, and this was the best so far. So, I would advise to not use carpet and to use the paint actually.
Okay, thank you for your actually insight on this. Let me specify a point there. I'm sure a lot of our audience wouldn't know about Real Green. It's basically not a full range product. This is a byproduct of our R&D, research and development efforts to get the best result in a virtual studio application. So our R&D team has, how to say this, experimented on certain set of green colors, and I think they found the best version, and we've been sending it to some of our customers and partners to test it, to see it. And I think from your experience, it's okay.
Yeah, it's perfect. I can confirm it. We have a really, really good result with it in the key, as you can see.
Good to hear. This also became a feedback session. That's great. So let's move on to the CamBot system that you're product manager of.
So basically, CamBot is our one of our products, and it is designed to be the core of the studio. As I said, one of the targets of the Innovation Center is to find new ways and new workflows, but also automation. So our idea was to find or to create one product to combine everything and to control everything from. So in the first instance, we can use CamBot as a software to control robotic arms and cameras. This is actually what happens here now. So CamBot is controlling the Panasonic PTZs, the robotic arms, the matching of the cameras, the rail, and is combining everything in one interface. And it also offers us the possibility to do timeline-based moves with it. So basically, I can program or record a move with the robot and replay it as often as I want it, and have a keyframe editor for it. Another benefit of CamBot is that it outputs tracking data for the robots. So every robotic system we can control and which is precise enough, we can, as we do the kinematics, calculate the tracking data and output it to the reality engine. So basically we don't need any external tracking or whatsoever to do the tracking of the cameras. Yeah, here we see a little picture of the software interface actually. Yeah, here we see the closer picture of the timeline-based editor. So basically in this timeline I can adjust my moves with keyframes for every axis, including pan, tilt, zoom, focus, X, Y, Z of the camera and everything. And also, as you can see in the, and here you can see this was actually made during promo video shooting for the product. So basically this is the one control station we need to control the whole studio. So basically from there I'm able, as we currently develop an integration with zero density, from there I'm able to trigger actions in reality. From there I'm able to move virtual cameras or augmented objects, but from there I'm also able to move the cameras or control the light. So this is one station to control everything.
Would you like to demonstrate it?
Yeah, how can I? Wait a second. The problem is currently I'm not at the station, so I have only the software here. So, but for example, I can make the camera move. So this is the camera on the rail currently. I can switch to another camera. So basically what I do now is I route the picture around. I can make this camera move. I have unfortunately no graphic objects prepared at the moment, no augmented objects, but the same way I move the cameras around, I would also be able to move augmented objects around and so on. As I explained already, we have no adjustable lights in our Studio B, in our green area here, because for the key we need fixed light, but in the more conventional areas of the studio, I would also be able to control the spotlight or control the color of the light and so on. And it's all happening from one interface.
Thank you, Felix, for the, well, still very effective demonstration, if you ask me. But let's get to the, now it's time to move on to the main, actually, reason of why we gathered today, why we have this session. we had numerous guests talking about broadcast-related projects. So this week we wanted to give you an alternative look. So how does different industries, different corporations want from this virtual studio technology, and to give you an idea how to utilize it to the best of your interest. So we have 3 examples today from KST. One is the Panasonic booth in IBC 2019. Of course, Panasonic related to broadcast industry, but this event is for an exhibition, it's a product launch, and it's a nature, it's not entirely broadcast. And there's a Bundeswehr Virtual Studio and RWE Virtual Studio, which is an energy company in Europe. So I will give the word to Felix to give us information about these projects.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, let's first of all talk a little bit about the Panasonic booth in IBC. I'm sure people or viewers which have been to IBC have noticed the booth, because in my opinion it was one of the booths with the, let's say, best virtual graphics shown on the exhibition. But we had quite a few challenges there. For example, on the booth actually we had just a very, very small green area, just 1 by 2 meters. So it was really a challenge for the key, yeah, but it worked, yeah. Because of course in this very small area we had no possibility to have optimal lighting and so on, and we had very, very strong spill because the walls were very close. Yeah, basically also there we showcased our product CamBot. So basically the cameras were controlled by CamBot. We had a robot there, and we also showed the application with the UE150, the small Panasonic PTZ. Another interesting topic, we had interactivity with blacktracks tracking. So basically also on the booth we had a blacktrack system. As we see this picture, a little interesting game. People can guess what inside this picture is real and what not, because this is a challenge which we also give the people very often. So you can write in the chat real quick what you think is real or not, and maybe in the end we give a little salvation for it.
Let me prepare the question real quick, actually.
Okay.
You talk a bit about this hologram, and I will get you with the poll.
Okay, so so basically we had blacktracks tracking on the booth, and we used this for 2 things. First of all, as she, the talent, was tracked by blacktracks, our cameras were able to automatically follow her. But we also used it for the graphics in zero density. As you can see, yeah, she has this little thing on her hand wrist, which looks like a watch. This is actually a tracker from blacktracks. So we had the position of her hand. And basically what we did, she was presenting the new camera product, and then had a hologram appearing on her hand. And as she moved her hand around, even behind her head, the camera was, or the augmented object was following her, exactly placed on her hand. So this was a really great showcase of interactivity.
Okay, I'm almost ready, but I need help on what you call this, a switcher, actually.
What do you mean?
The keyboard type thing.
This is actually a control panel for the new Panasonic video switcher.
Yeah, I was expecting a special name. Okay.
So there we can see a little live video. It's just a very, very short clip. So this is another really great advantage of Virtual Studio. As we can see here, she is standing actually in the virtual set of our innovation center. And this is a really huge area. But actually in real on the booth, she was just in a 1 by 2 meter, very small green area. So we can have the effect of a very large room, but in real we have just a very, very tiny area.
I think you gave away the answer, but it's okay.
I did? Okay. So
I would like to say a few things about this setup, Felix, because I honestly think that setup at IBC was a success, because 1 meter to 2 meters is a very limited area. Yeah. But the picture quality that you achieved, that you managed at the end of the day is like amazing. So that was a quite successful setup.
Yeah, and we also have to think that the setup time we needed for this was just 1 day, because during setup on the exhibition we could just start with the Virtual Studio when all the rest of the booth was already finished, because this was not the main application on the booth. So this was really a good example how simple and easy to set up the system is. Actually, yeah, so also on the IBC we had a virtual presentation of the new Panasonic products, and there we designed a product studio which was also working in reality. So basically I could be standing right beside this camera now, but we tried to design it as detailed as possible. So you were really able to zoom with the camera on all the small pins on the back side of the product and everything, or to scale the product really high up and to really point out, okay, this is the HDMI connector and this and this and this. And this is actually we had a visit from Epic, and they said this are one of the highest quality augmented object they have ever seen. So we're really proud of this object we made with our partner Mondlicht. Here we can see some more details of. So actually, what we see here is not the real Webcam. This is just a close-up shot of our augmented reality object.
Wow.
In reality. So this is actually really in the green screen studio, but not on a real camera, just on an entirely virtual object.
So it's very photorealistic to actually do product launches in virtual, because there is a real product there to show, but the augmented one was realistic enough that they didn't need to hold the cameras and show it.
Exactly.
Interesting use of this technology. Okay, let's move on to the Bundeswehr, which is another interesting project. And we are getting the details from firsthand right now as well, so we are a little excited.
Yeah, as the viewers may know, the Bundeswehr is the German army, and this is not an usual broadcaster, as you might think, but they built a green screen studio. This is a very small studio, or small to medium size, as you can see in the picture. In there we used 3 cameras, all 3 on CamBot robots and all 3 Webcams. So this studio is actually meant for testing and getting used to the new technology for the Bundeswehr. What they want to do it, or what they want to use it for, they want to use it for testing, for training, for their internal communications. Actually, they also have a large PR branch, so basically they have a YouTube channel and so on, which they are producing high quality content for, and they plan to do it in the green now. And immersive news and for maneuvers. This is, in my opinion, funny application. So basically, when you have an army maneuver going on, they want to make something like, okay, we have Team Red and Team Blue, and Team Red and Blue each have their own virtual studio in their colors, and they try to do some fake news along the maneuver. So, okay, the front line moved now so and so on, to inform the soldiers which are actually in the field during the maneuver. So this is to make the maneuver more immersive. This is an UHD ready workflow. So basically, as they have Webcams, they already use the Webcam RAW here, which gives a perfect keying result, and they are able to basically with one button push switch from an HD production to UHD already. So yeah, this is a funny little picture of me standing in the green, demonstrating the size of the studio.
Felix for scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Felix, I actually have a question. So I think Webcams are, very nice cameras to utilize reality keyers, some unique features like raw keying. But they are cinematic cameras, right?
Yes.
And you should be using the cinematic lenses. Sometimes we get this question: if I use cinematic cameras and cinematic lenses, will my tracking will be as good as the broadcast ones? Is anything different? What is your experience with cinematic cameras and cinematic lenses?
This heavily depends on the type of lens you use. We like to use the lenses of Canon, which is also one of our partners, and they have a really nice UHD certified lens. It's the CN17 by something. This is a zoom lens which we use for the Varicam, and gives a really high quality result and really precise tracking. But actually for some applications this lens is not wide angled enough. This is why we have a second Canon lens which we use, but this one, as most cinema lenses, has no lens drive, so no motors to steer them. So we actually together with C-Motion developed an external lens drive which is compatible with CamBot and also provides very precise tracking data. So actually we can use any cine lens out there even if it doesn't have a drive, and it will have high quality tracking.
Thank you. Okay, do you have any other details to share about the Bundeswehr project?
Actually not, because there has not very much happened yet, because the project is just done. It's very new and they just start to produce in there. Actually, it's getting slowed down a bit by the current situation we have worldwide. So this also affects the German army actually. So, I'm sure we will have some very great results.
We really appreciate the opportunity to share this project here today, because they might not, be ready to announce it. So let's move on with the RWE.
Okay, so this is also a very fresh project. We just finished it last week. RWE is a large German or European-wide energy company actually. So this is entirely a non-broadcast use. So this is a picture of the actual RWE studio. They have a PTZ only application. So they only use the Panasonic UE150 PTZ, which does the perfect tracking for them. Their green is also mid-sized, as we can see here. Really interesting. As you might know, a PTZ camera only does pan, tilt and zoom. So basically it's not possible to actually physically move the camera around, but they wanted to be able to have different angles in the studio. The challenge was how to make it work with the tracking. And basically, as you can see here in the picture, very little, we have 7 different fixed mounting positions, and we have constructed this pedestal for the camera. On the pedestal there's the camera and also the small screen for the teleprompter, and this pedestal can be very simply mounted in these 7 different fixed positions, and all those 7 positions are via preset calibrated for tracking. So basically for them it's really simple. Even when they are on air, they just switch to another camera, quickly move the pedestal, clink it in, and then activate the preset for that position, and then they switch the position of the camera and the tracking is still working, the perspective is matching and everything.
I observed that you are using the similar lighting at RWE, the one you are having in the Innovation Center.
Yeah, so also at Bundeswehr, by the way. And also on the booth at Panasonic at the IBC. Okay. So because we think this lighting setup is perfect also, and it's also working perfectly with the Reality Kia. So we export this idea now to all our projects because we want to make it possible to reach smaller budgets. And expensive light technology is something where you can waste very much money. And actually for the Kia or for the green screen applications, we don't need adjustable lights. We don't need to change the color or intensity of the light. Once it sets up and perfectly working, it's fine, that's it. Then we only need maybe 1 or 2 small spots for highlights, but that's it.
So yeah, I would like to say a few things about lighting, because when I visited the innovation center, I was honestly impressed, because as the name suggests, the Moschkau family was innovating in every area of the studio. Lighting was one of them. So you don't need to give some numbers, but can you give us a ratio? Because I know that these are, relatively, way feasible, way cheaper solution. So what kind of a ratio that you can give us this lighting setup and,
So compared to usual complex studio environments, this lighting setup is 10% or less. So this is a huge difference for the project.
That is why you are exporting this all the way to all of
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And it's working perfect, so there's no reason to spend more money on it.
I mean, I can tell you, your key in quality right now, it is pretty nice. So what you can expect, I don't know. We can observe it. Apparently it works.
Yeah, let's put Felix under the spotlight.
Yeah, so here I am. Yeah, so I think that's it already. We spoke about the three not usual broadcast projects. Of course, we are doing many more real broadcast projects. So there's a big announcement which is coming in the close future because we convinced a big German broadcaster to to switch to reality. But
actually, we talked about the mounted PTZs and the lights, but let's move on to the other bullet points.
Okay.
I think Skype streamings, OBS. Yeah, we forgot that part.
Okay, so they had the idea to do conferences in there. So they wanted to use Skype or so either Skype or Zoom to realize that. So basically, people from all the way around the world can connect into the studio and then appear as a screen in the virtuality. So basically, we created an I/O solution to get the Skype feed as an SDI signal into reality, to use it as an virtual input. So and also we have a connection panel to OB vans, which is also quite unusual for an industrial company. Yeah, but what do they plan to use the studio for? Actually, it's again somewhat the same as the Bundeswehr project. So they intend to use it for internal training, internal communications, and PR. So they want to make some small trailers in there in a nice environment, or environment fitting the several different branches of their company and so on. And also, as this is a huge company with thousands of employees, they have a high demand on internal communications actually. So they really want to broadcast internally, basically.
That's great. Two very different company profiles, but eventually they want to use this technology for a similar purpose.
Yeah, and we see more and more companies wanting to do that. An interesting addition, last point, this studio is already in 12G only workflow. So this is entirely UHD, and they just use 12G signals, which is also possible with reality with the latest version, obviously. Yeah, I think that's it. If we don't have any more questions regarding the RWE project.
Yeah, as we wrap up, if there are any questions from our audience, don't hesitate to write them in the Q&A section. Well, Felix, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
3 different use cases for this technology, which was eventually for a similar purpose, for training, internal training, for creating content for YouTube channel, have conferences and get people in through Skype or Zoom, for PR materials to reach outside audience, or internal employees, they are also audience, which I'm sure created a lot of sparks in the minds of our audience. And if they have any questions today or tomorrow, don't hesitate to contact us or KST Moschkau on this matter. So any final remarks? Onur, let's start with you.
Sure. So actually, I would like to ask about the nice virtual set that Felix is inside right now. So we know that for any media companies or corporates or even defense armies, KST Moschkau is able to provide for their technical needs from A to Z. But I also know that even your team created this virtual studio, or what was the story? And my second question is, if a client is in need of some, design services, creative services, is KST Moschkau able to provide that?
Yeah. So basically, we have very strong partners and also our own team for design. We also do trainings for it in our academy. As you can see, the set which I'm standing in, wait, let me go to a wider angle real quick. This is our KST Innovation Center set, which is a quite large studio application. We actually have a make-off video of it on our YouTube channel. Unfortunately, it's just in German, but just for the looks, it's fine. Actually, this is also the set which we give as a starter to all our customers, so they have something to start with. And in that quality, we of course also design sets as a service for our customers.
Thank you. We have a question just came in. Well, with your huge experience, how important would you say is an operator to make sure the key is always perfect? Of course, this question is more to TV broadcasting. What do you think, Felix? How important is to make sure the key is perfect at all times?
This heavily depends on the situation. Let's say if you don't switch much with your light, if you have an ideal setup with the ideal size and color of green, with a very fixed light which you never change, actually as long as you don't want to do any very special magic like reflecting and transparent objects inside, the need of maintaining the key is very little. So actually this key which we see here, this was set up let's say almost a year ago, and that's it. It has never been adjusted. So as long as you have a stable situation, the key is always working perfect once it's adjusted. Of course, if you switch the talent, the moderator, really often, and if you have a suboptimal situation for the light, or if you want to use several different light sets, you have to adjust every time. Or not every time, but it's possible that you have to adjust it.
Is it on the case with reality gear, or would you say this about whole gears?
Yeah, this is the case for all gears, especially for chroma gears. Yeah? For reality gear, you have as long as the light situation in the background does not change, you have almost no need to adjusting. Yeah? For other gears, you have to adjust on the person and so on. This is not needed with reality gear actually. But reality gear is a little bit sensitive to changes in the light, because it does a difference between the background and the real picture. So as soon as you change the light or the iris on the camera, you have to adjust it. But if this is really carefully done, you can have presets for it for every situation and so on. So this is possible, very simple on air.
There is a follow-up. There are two follow-up questions on that. So with the reality gear, does it also differ when you have different hair colors or the clothes? And what about the talents with different complexions? How can you manage this with reality gear?
Yeah, this is a situation where you have to be careful, of course. Let's say the best benchmark for the gear is to have a very bright color-haired, very bright long hairs, like blonde or white hairs. This is why we have our keying calibration puppet. I think it was visible in the video somewhere, where we have some very nice blonde and white hairs, and this is actually the most difficult situation you can have. And once the key is adjusted to that, for easier situations like mine with very short dark hairs, it's really simple. Actually, here we switch to our calibration puppet, which is not standing in my room. This is standing in Studio A at the moment. But so this is what we use for benchmarking the key actually. And as soon as the key is adjusted to that person, it's fine for the others in most of the cases. Of course, there can be situations where you need to adjust, but mostly you don't have to.
I can dive in with another answer to this question. We recently, with the lockdown issues and the social distancing, producing live shows became a bit difficult. So in one example with RTBF's weather magazine, the lighting setup has done only once, and the show produced 15 sets with the same lighting without changing it. And every day hosts would come in, they would produce the show, it would go live, and they would come again another day with the same set of lightings. So I think, it's very flexible on that part.
Yeah, it is, for sure.
So this concludes our session, I think. If I will stay a little bit behind to check if there are any more questions or concerns from the audience. But thank you so much, Felix, for joining us today.
You're welcome.
The different cases for Virtual Studio technology, and I'm sure it will inspire some of the people who would imagine having the same products for their own.
I hope so. And if anyone is interested in the workflow, feel happily invited to step by in the Innovation Center and have a look at it.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, our audience, for joining us, and Onur, of course, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. Many thanks, Felix.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Let's take a final good look from your studio. It looks great. See you. Thank you so much.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.